So just to expand on the last video I made, I'm going to dissect this video.
Now, the COVID moratorium on evictions is now over in Virginia, and the timing couldn't be worse. Rental rates in some areas are sky high.
And some tenants have to move because their landlords are selling. Tonight,
that case right there, that point right there, people got their warnings. And unfortunately,
we investigate the looming eviction crisis. Elizabeth Fenno has to get her stuff out of storage, box it up, and move out.
I'm moving. I have to because he's selling.
He is her landlord at this complex on East Ocean View Avenue. Fenno says she looked at a place in Hampton 2 years ago when it was renting for $975.
Now they're up to $1,400 a month.
Every place is sky high. You know why? Because there's a lot of bad tenants out there. So we had the housing boom last year, and now we've been having a housing crisis. Everything's just been, the rent's too damn high.
I'm like, what?
People who have to move or are about to get evicted in a hot rental market can easily get burned by the high rates. Angie Knight-Mizell is in that dilemma in Suffolk.
And my biggest fear is being homeless. That's my fear because I have nowhere to go.
Her landlord wants to sell too. She's current on her rent, but says she can't find an affordable place to move her family and her home-based business.
Because I know that it's eviction possibility coming, and I don't want that on me.
I have never.
And that's, that's the unfortunate thing. Unfortunately, every year, at least, a landlord cannot raise one's lease during the contract. What the landlord can do is 90 days before the lease expires is send out a letter stating that, hey, the rent's going up. That's called economics. And this is part of inflation.
Experienced anything like this before.
In Norfolk, Michelle Johnson is Director of Neighborhood Services.
The loss of housing is a major trauma in someone's life.
Her department works with other city and community agencies to ease that trauma through the state's rent relief program. With the moratorium on evictions now gone, Johnson is expecting a rush.
We don't know.
People didn't prepare. And now they're going to be freaking stuck being homeless, or, they're going to be having legal repercussions. People waited to the last minute. And there's definitely a majority of people, they're going to be fine. A minority of people are not. I mean, that's just the way it is. Economies change. And when people are getting used to these freaking paychecks from the government, because a lot of people are going to have to repay their unemployment benefits as well, because they made false claims. And just like the rent relief program, or the eviction moratorium, that is just said, hey, we're still going to allow business to conduct, but you're still responsible for these monies. And so a responsible person would have been involved in this a year ago. Like when these government programs started, and hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And they'd be in a better position. But when people wait to the last minute, there is a crisis because people procrastinated, because people got too enabled by the government.
Just how many people are going to need this? We will certainly soon find out.
And what about landlords? The owner of this Hampton property hasn't seen the $750 a month in rent checks for more than a year.
You need money to be able to do the maintenance on the houses and all.
Right? That money is supposed, and apparently this thing didn't necessarily bail out these small business owners.
But the Air Force vet says he's sympathetic to his tenants' plight.
There's nothing that they can do about it. They're without a job at this time also.
Hughes and his tenant have applied for the rent relief program, but can't get any word on the status.
because our government's too oversized and we're going to be implementing more people into the government, in order to fill these roles, which are a waste of money because a lot of the cases are a bunch of nonsense. And this is the socialist takeover. This is actually a pretty damn good strategy by them. I must admit.
Hughes says he can't sustain zero rent revenue much longer. He's afraid he'll have to sell the property. Jackie Pierce manages rental properties across the 7 cities from her office in Portsmouth.
The supply is very little, and the cost is extremely high at this point.
She says rental relief is helping tenants across Hampton Roads.
We have to offer that money to the tenant when they are behind, and we have to also offer them a payment program plan as well.
And if you're facing eviction, don't think you can just blow off your court date.
The best thing that you can do is to show up in court and to state your case.
Fenno was able to find something more expensive than she had hoped. She fears others won't be so lucky.
There are going to be middle-class people that will be homeless.
She freaking knows. She's a smart lady. And
if you're facing eviction, don't think you can just
It's very little, and the cost is...
sell the property. Jackie Pierce manages rental properties across the 7 cities from her office in Portsmouth.
The supply is very little, and the cost is extremely high at this point.
She says rental relief is helping tenants across Hampton Roads.
We have to offer that money to the tenant when they are behind.
no, we don't. Because if they were falsely claiming unemployment benefits, I'm pretty certain that's punishable by law under, like jail. And they weren't paying their rent. They just double whammied themselves. Let's actually... Wow. First one that came up. Debtors prisons are illegal. In the U.S., consequences for not paying rent might include some jail time in some situations. In case you owe rent to the landlord and you are in a fight with him, you can end up with jail or at least a case in court. I mean, yeah, so you can't go to jail for debt. Yeah, like, there's no jail, but your credit is going to be destroyed. That's part of the reason why I was homeless last year. Is because, friggin', I was fighting this situation, and it went onto my credit report. Like, I missed a couple parts in it, and then that's why in June of last year, friggin', my credit went to crap, but I repaired it immediately. Like, I tried to. And I was finally, I got a place a few months ago. So, trust me, I understand a little bit. I go to jail for unemployment fraud. People who commit unemployment fraud, insurance fraud, can face both civil and criminal penalties. A civil penalty usually involves a fine, while criminal penalties can include fines, incarceration, probation, and other penalties. Let's just file unemployment insurance fraud includes collecting unemployment insurance benefits that are based on providing false, unreported, or misreported information while filing a claim. Anyone who is filing a claim, reopening a claim, or certifying for UI benefits is legally responsible to make sure that they follow the requirements that are set by the law of the state and that they reside in. UI fraud can occur more than one form. It can range from intended criminal activity to someone providing incomplete or inaccurate data that results in receiving UI benefits. And there's typos and things like that. And so in those cases, hey, but a lot of people are going to be owed paying back benefits, irrespective of whether a person can unemployment benefits intentionally, unknowingly, or even as clerically error. The amount needs to be repaid to the state's labor office the Labor Office sends the concerned person a benefits overpayment notice that contains the detail of how much unemployment benefits they owe the state. Oh wow! How many people just became they volunteered to become debt slaves? Freaking wow! Full fucking circle. Full fucking circle. It takes me a little bit, but I fucking get there. Because this goes into freaking, what is money? Money is a representation of man's time and labor. Well, if I'm a rich guy, then that means I've got slaves. Because people are doing my work. I'm not really contributing anything besides like freaking, they're doing my work. I'm just a consumer. Unless I'm gonna there's, how does one play God, essentially? Understand the system, people. Take care, be safe, be constitutional. I love you all.